Welcome, listener. Here are 10 lessons from psychic perception. The Magic of Extrasensory Power by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Lesson number 1. Everyone possesses psychic powers. Psychic abilities like intuition, clairvoyance, and premonition are innate to all, rooted in the subconscious mind's ability to transcend the five senses. Sitting by the window with Murphy's book in hand, I felt a spark of recognition as he declared that psychic powers are as natural as breathing, lying dormant in everyone's subconscious, ready to be awakened. He describes these abilities as the mind's capacity to transcend the five senses, perceiving events, truths, and connections beyond time and space. It wasn't about being a mystic or a seer. It was about trusting the subtle whispers of intuition that we all experience, like knowing who's calling before the phone rings or sensing a loved one's distress from miles away. Murphy's conviction that these powers are universal made me reflect on my own fleeting moments of insight, wondering if they were glimpses of something greater. One story that captivated me was of a 12-year-old boy in Hawaii who, while sailing with his family, suddenly knew his father had died on another island. Running to his mother, he cried, "Mom, Papa is dead." I saw him and talked to him. A long-distance call later confirmed his father's passing at that exact moment. Murphy explains this as clairvoyance and telepathy, where the boy's receptive subconscious picked up his father's final message across hundreds of miles. This wasn't a rare gift, but a natural faculty, heightened by the boy's openness. I imagined myself in his shoes, wondering if I'd trust such a vision or dismiss it as imagination. Another example struck closer to home. Murphy recounts meeting a young woman in a Japanese restaurant, tormented by the belief that a curse from Tahiti was killing her. Her fear had manifested physical symptoms, and no doctor or counselor could sway her. Guided by an inexplicable urge to visit that restaurant, Murphy spoke with her, affirming biblical truths like, "If God be for us, who can be against us?" and teaching her to repeat, "I am alive with the life of God." Within hours, she was laughing and eating heartily, freed from her fear. This was psychic perception at work. Murphy's subconscious led him to her, and her own mind, once reprogrammed with positive affirmations, healed her. It made me think of times I'd followed a hunch to help someone, perhaps guided by the same inner wisdom. Then there was the taxi driver, a man of Chinese and Hawaiian descent, who yearned for wealth to provide a home for his family. One night, a vivid dream brought a Chinese sage who showed him a plot of land on the Kona coast. Trusting the vision, he bought the land, which later skyrocketed in value, making him independently wealthy. Murphy attributes this to precognition, where the subconscious, responding to the driver's heartfelt desire, revealed future opportunities. I pictured myself receiving such a dream, questioning whether I'd act on it or let doubt cloud the message. This story underscored that psychic powers aren't just for grand revelations, but for practical gains, accessible to anyone who listens. A young secretary's tale added another layer. Seeking guidance about a foot operation, she dreamt 5 nights in a row of a man saying, "See the man with the I Ching." Spotting Murphy reading the I Ching, she asked if osteopathic treatment would heal her. The I Ching's answer, deliverance, proved true, as her doctor confirmed she could avoid surgery. Her subconscious, Murphy explains, used the dream to guide her to the right path, a common psychic faculty we all possess. This made me recall dreams that felt oddly significant, prompting me to consider keeping a journal to capture their wisdom. Perhaps most inspiring was the geologist who, before a trip to Australia, lulled himself to sleep with the word wealth. His subconscious guided him to a silver vein and uranium deposits, overlooked by others, transforming his career. Murphy emphasizes that this wasn't luck, but the subconscious revealing hidden truths when aligned with a clear intention. It reminded me of times I'd focused intensely on a goal and found unexpected solutions, as if my mind had tapped into a deeper knowing. These stories, from a boy's vision to a geologist's discovery, illustrate Murphy's core message. Psychic powers are universal, manifesting as intuition, dreams, or sudden insights. They're not reserved for the elite, but flourish in taxi drivers, waitresses, and children, anyone open to their subconscious. Murphy urges us to nurture these powers through affirmations, meditation, and trust, affirming, Infinite intelligence reveals to me everything I need to know. As I closed the book, I felt a quiet resolve to listen more closely to my inner voice, trusting that, like those in Murphy's tales, I too could unlock the psychic potential within me, ready to guide my everyday life. Lesson number 2: connect with the infinite healing presence. A divine source of wisdom and healing exists within, accessible through affirmations and prayer, fostering health and clarity. The rain tapped gently against my window as I read Murphy's words, feeling a quiet stir within me at the idea of an infinite healing presence. He describes it as a divine force, ever present in our subconscious, ready to heal body, mind, and spirit when we align with it through faith and affirmation. Unlike a distant deity, this presence is intimate, a wellspring of love and vitality within us all, waiting to be called upon. Murphy's promise that we can connect to it through simple practices, like affirming, "I am whole and perfect," or praying with conviction, felt like an invitation to rediscover my own resilience. I began to wonder how many times I'd overlooked this inner resource, caught up in worry or doubt. One story that gripped me was of a young woman Murphy met in Hawaii, convinced she was dying from a curse placed on her in Tahiti. Her fear had taken root in her subconscious, manifesting as physical decline, and neither doctors nor counselors could break through her despair. Guided by an intuitive urge to visit a Japanese restaurant, Murphy found her and spoke truths that shifted her perspective. He taught her to affirm, "I am alive with the life of God," and recite biblical verses like, "Nothing shall by any means hurt you." As they prayed together, her fear dissolved, and by lunchtime, she was laughing and eating heartily, her vitality restored. This wasn't just a cure, it was a reconnection to the infinite healing presence, which dispelled her self-imposed curse. I imagined her joy, wondering if my own fears could be eased by such affirmations. Another example resonated deeply. In Maui, Murphy and a friend prayed for a doctor bedridden with a severe back injury, unable to work or walk. They affirmed, "The infinite healing presence which made him knows how to restore him completely," visualizing a river of peace and love saturating his being. Days later, the doctor called, describing a strange healing force that flowed through him, enabling him to rise and join a Thanksgiving meal, fully recovered. Murphy explains that their prayer awakened the healing presence in the doctor's subconscious, which responded with miraculous restoration. This story made me reflect on times I'd prayed for loved ones, curious if my words had tapped into this same universal power. Then there was the broader application of this lesson in daily life. Murphy shares how countless people, facing emotional or physical ailments, found relief by connecting with this presence. A man plagued by guilt, for instance, used affirmations like, "God's love fills my soul," to release his burdens, finding peace where torment once reigned. Murphy emphasizes that the infinite healing presence isn't just for physical healing, but for mending broken hearts, dissolving resentment, or overcoming fear. He suggests a simple practice. Before sleep, affirm, "The healing power of the infinite flows through me, making me whole." This felt like a lifeline, a way to end each day in alignment with something greater. The mechanics of this connection fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious mind, linked to the universal mind, responds to our heartfelt beliefs. When we pray or affirm with conviction, we impress the subconscious with the idea of healing, and it orchestrates the body's restoration or guides us to solutions. He cites biblical phrases like, "Say in a word, and my servant shall be healed," to illustrate that a deep inner conviction, rather than a physical act, activates this presence. This made me think of moments when a sudden calm had washed over me during stress, as if my subconscious had tapped into a deeper peace. What struck me most was the universality of this power. Murphy's examples span a waitress, a doctor, and ordinary people from all walks of life, showing that anyone can access this healing force. The woman in Hawaii needed only a shift in belief. The doctor required a prayer's conviction. These stories weren't about miracles reserved for the saintly, but about everyday people opening their minds to the divine within. As I closed the book, I felt inspired to try Murphy's affirmations myself, whispering, "The infinite healing presence flows through me," before bed. The idea that I could connect to this source, just as those in his stories did, filled me with hope, a reminder that healing, in all its forms, is always within reach. Lesson number 3: the subconscious mind unlocks psychic perception. The subconscious stores beliefs and potential. Impressing it with positive ideas activates extrasensory abilities like telepathy or precognition. The soft glow of my lamp cast shadows as I read Murphy's words, each sentence sparking a sense of wonder about the subconscious mind. He describes it as a boundless sea, linked to the infinite intelligence, capable of perceiving truths beyond the five senses. Unlike the conscious mind, which doubts and analyzes, the subconscious accepts our beliefs and desires, manifesting them as intuitive insights, dreams, or sudden knowings. Murphy's promise that we can unlock psychic perception by impressing the subconscious with affirmations like, "Infinite intelligence reveals all I need to know," felt like a call to adventure. I began to ponder moments when a gut feeling had guided me, wondering if my subconscious had been whispering truths all along. One story that captivated me was of a young college girl, heartbroken after a quarrel with her boyfriend in Vietnam. Desperate to make amends, she sought Murphy's guidance. He advised her to pray, affirming, "God's love fills Tom's heart, and harmony exists between us," without forcing her will. Days later, Tom called from Saigon, saying she'd appeared to him in his tent, smiling and saying, "I love you." Murphy explains that her prayer impressed her subconscious, which, transcending time and space, projected her presence to Tom, fostering reconciliation. This telepathic connection, sparked by her subconscious, made me think of times I'd sensed a loved one's emotions from afar, perhaps my own mind bridging the distance. Another example hit closer to home. An attorney, frustrated by a 5-year lawsuit with stubborn opponents, followed Murphy's advice to visualize a happy resolution. Each night, he imagined Murphy congratulating him, saying, "Look at the wonders God has wrought." Within a week, the opposing counsel agreed to settle, and a key obstacle, a difficult party, passed away. Murphy attributes this to the subconscious, which, once impressed with the idea of a solution, orchestrated events in divine order. I pictured myself facing a stalled project, wondering if visualizing success could nudge my subconscious to reveal a path forward. Then there was the waitress in Kona, gifted with precognition. She'd often tell her family she'd read obituaries of elderly relatives in the newspaper, only for those notices to appear days later. Murphy explains that her subconscious, conditioned by her Hawaiian mother's belief in her foresight, picked up the impending transitions of relatives, manifesting as vivid impressions. This wasn't a rare talent, but a natural faculty, amplified by her openness. It reminded me of dreams that felt prophetic, urging me to trust such inklings as messages from my deeper mind. A particularly striking story involved a radio listener driving to San Francisco when he heard his father's voice say, "Son, pray for me. I've had a massive heart attack." Stopping his car, he prayed, affirming, God is healing him now. Later, he learned his father had survived a heart attack at that exact moment, aided by a doctor who happened to be nearby. Murphy calls this clairaudience, where the subconscious received the father's urgent message, collapsing distance. I reflected on times I'd felt an inexplicable urge to call someone, only to find they needed me, sensing my subconscious at work. Murphy emphasizes that anyone can unlock these powers. He suggests nightly affirmations like, "My subconscious reveals the truth about every situation," to program the mind for clarity. The subconscious, he says, responds to vivid imagery and heartfelt belief, delivering insights through dreams, hunches, or visions. His examples, a student, a lawyer, a waitress, show that psychic perception isn't for the elite, but for anyone willing to trust their inner mind. As I set the book down, I felt a quiet resolve to try Murphy's technique, whispering affirmations before sleep, eager to see what my subconscious might reveal. The idea that this vast, intuitive power lies within me, ready to unlock a world of perception, filled me with anticipation for the insights to come. Lesson number 4: use affirmations to reprogram the subconscious. Repeating positive words, e.g., wealth, intuition, rewrites limiting beliefs, manifesting desired outcomes in life. The evening was quiet, save for the rustle of pages as I read Murphy's words, each one igniting a spark of possibility. He explains that the subconscious accepts whatever we impress upon it, whether negative or positive, and affirmations are the tool to plant seeds of success. By repeating statements like, "Wealth is mine now," or "I am whole and perfect," we can erase fears, doubts, and old patterns, aligning our deeper mind with our goals. Murphy's assertion that this practice enhances psychic perception, unlocking intuition and foresight, felt like a call to take charge of my destiny. I began to recall times when negative self-talk had held me back, wondering how affirmations could shift my perspective. One story that gripped me was of a lonely waitress in Hawaii, yearning for love. Murphy taught her to affirm nightly, imagining a wedding ring on her finger and feeling the joy of being married to her ideal partner. She lulled herself to sleep with this vivid image, impressing her subconscious with the reality of love. Months later, by the Kona Inn's pool, she introduced Murphy to her new husband, their marriage a perfect harmony. Her sisters, inspired, used the same technique and found their own partners. This simple act of affirming love reprogrammed their subconscious, drawing their desires into reality. I imagined myself affirming a personal goal, curious if such repetition could reshape my path. Another example resonated deeply. A geologist, preparing for a mining expedition in Australia, affirmed wealth each night before sleep. His subconscious, absorbing this command, guided him to a silver vein and uranium deposits overlooked by others, transforming his career. Murphy explains that the affirmation energized his deeper mind, unlocking psychic insights that led him to treasure. This story made me reflect on moments when a focused intention had brought unexpected opportunities, as if my subconscious had been quietly at work. Could affirming success before a project yield similar results? Then there was the woman in Hawaii, convinced a Tahitian curse was killing her. Her subconscious, steeped in fear, manifested physical decline. Murphy countered this with affirmations, teaching her to repeat, "I am alive with the life of God," alongside biblical verses like, "Nothing shall by any means hurt you." As she spoke these truths, her subconscious released its grip on fear, and within hours, she was vibrant and joyful. This rapid transformation showed how affirmations can override even deep-seated beliefs, restoring health through psychic alignment. It prompted me to consider fears I might dissolve with positive statements. Murphy also shares the story of a secretary who transformed her life with affirmations. Doubting she could achieve wealth, she followed Murphy's advice to affirm, "I am driving a luxurious car, wearing a mink coat, and living in my own home, happily married." Within 3 months, she was living this reality, her subconscious having attracted these blessings. Murphy stresses the importance of consistency and belief, warning against countering affirmations with doubt. This made me think of times I'd started a positive habit only to falter, resolving to be more steadfast. The mechanics of affirmations fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, linked to infinite intelligence, responds to vivid, heartfelt repetition. By affirming before sleep, when the mind is receptive, we program it to reveal solutions, opportunities, or healing. His one-word formula, like wealth, simplifies the process, proving that even a single word, charged with intention, can shift reality. As I closed the book, I felt inspired to try it myself, whispering, "Harmony fills my life," before bed. The stories of a waitress, a geologist, a secretary, showed that anyone can reprogram their subconscious with affirmations, unlocking psychic perception to create a life of abundance and joy. The possibility that I could shape my future with words filled me with quiet excitement. Lesson number 5: eradicate negative predictions. Counter fear-based thoughts with positive affirmations to prevent unwanted outcomes and align with success. The hum of evening settled around me as I read Murphy's words, each sentence urging me to confront the quiet fears that often cloud my thoughts. He explains that the subconscious, ever receptive, absorbs negative predictions like, "I'll never succeed," and manifests them as reality, stifling our psychic potential. To counter this, Murphy advocates affirming positive truths, such as, "Infinite intelligence guides me to success," to reprogram the mind for abundance and clarity. This practice, he says, not only prevents misfortune but sharpens intuition, allowing us to sense opportunities. I began to reflect on times I'd let worry predict failure, wondering how a shift in thought could alter my path. One story that seized my attention was of a woman in Honolulu, gripped by fear after a fortune teller warned she'd die within a year. Her subconscious, accepting this grim prophecy, triggered physical decline, leaving her bedridden. Murphy, meeting her by chance, taught her to affirm, "I am alive with the life of God, and no power can harm me." He explained that no external prediction could override her God-given free will. Within days, her health returned, and she resumed teaching, her fear replaced by vitality. This transformation showed how rejecting negative predictions through affirmations could reprogram the subconscious, restoring life. I imagined her relief, pondering fears I might release with similar conviction. Another example hit close to home. A businessman, plagued by a colleague's prediction that his company would fail, saw his confidence erode. Losses mounted as his subconscious absorbed the forecast. Murphy advised him to affirm nightly, "My business is God's business, and it prospers exceedingly." He visualized success, imagining thriving deals and happy clients. Within weeks, new contracts flooded in, and his business soared. Murphy attributes this to the subconscious rejecting the negative prophecy and aligning with prosperity. This made me think of times I'd let others' doubts sway me, resolving to counter them with positive focus. Then there was the young mother, terrified by a doctor's warning that her son's illness was incurable. Her subconscious, steeped in despair, worsened her distress. Murphy guided her to pray, affirming, "The infinite healing presence restores my son to wholeness." She visualized him playing joyfully, rejecting the dire prognosis. Remarkably, her son began to recover, baffling the doctors. Murphy explains that her affirmations erased the negative prediction, allowing her subconscious to tap into healing wisdom. This story stirred memories of moments I'd accepted bleak outlooks, urging me to affirm hope instead. Murphy also shares a broader insight through a man who feared poverty in retirement, a prediction rooted in his father's struggles. This belief stifled his ambition until he affirmed, "I am wealthy and secure, guided by infinite intelligence." His subconscious, freed from fear, led him to lucrative investments, securing his future. This example underscored that negative predictions often stem from past conditioning, yet affirmations can rewrite the script. It prompted me to question inherited fears I might carry, eager to replace them with empowering truths. The mechanics of this lesson captivated me. Murphy teaches that negative predictions gain power only when we accept them, but affirmations, spoken with faith, neutralize their hold. By vividly imagining positive outcomes before sleep, we impress the subconscious with success, enhancing psychic perception to guide us rightly. As I closed the book, I felt a surge of determination to try it, whispering, "I am guided to success in all things." The stories of a teacher, a businessman, a mother, prove that anyone can eradicate negative predictions, unlocking a future shaped by hope and intuition. The realization that I could silence fear's forecasts with words filled me with quiet strength. Lesson number 6: Dreams facilitate communication and precognition. Dreams serve as a gateway to psychic insights, revealing information beyond time and space, often through symbolic messages. The stillness of night enveloped me as I read Murphy's words, each one stirring a sense of awe about the power of dreams. He describes them as the subconscious mind's canvas, where it paints messages from loved ones, warnings, or visions of what's to come. Unlike waking thoughts, dreams bypass doubt, allowing the subconscious to connect across miles or time. Murphy suggests affirming before sleep, "My subconscious reveals what I need to know," to invite clear, meaningful dreams. This idea captivated me, prompting memories of dreams that felt oddly significant, as if my deeper mind had been whispering truths. One story that seized my imagination was of a young secretary plagued by recurring dreams of a man urging her to see the man with the I Ching. Facing a decision about foot surgery, she spotted Murphy reading the I Ching and sought his guidance. The I Ching's answer, deliverance, confirmed her doctor's advice to avoid surgery, and she healed naturally. Murphy explains that her subconscious, sensing the right path, used dreams to communicate this wisdom, guiding her to him. This precognitive dream made me wonder about my own vivid dreams, urging me to keep a journal to decode their messages. Another example resonated deeply. A soldier in Vietnam, haunted by loneliness, dreamt of his girlfriend back home, who appeared and said, "I love you, Tom." The dream felt so real that he called her, learning she'd prayed for him that night, affirming their love. Murphy calls this dream communication, where her subconscious, impressed with heartfelt prayer, projected her presence to him across continents. This telepathic connection stirred memories of dreams where loved ones felt close, as if my subconscious had bridged the distance. Could affirming a connection before sleep invite such moments? Then there was the taxi driver in Hawaii, yearning for wealth to provide for his family. In a vivid dream, a Chinese sage showed him a plot of land on the Kona coast. Trusting the vision, he bought the land, which later soared in value, granting him financial freedom. Murphy attributes this to precognition, where the subconscious, responding to his desire, revealed a future opportunity. I pictured myself receiving such a dream, questioning whether I'd act with such faith. This story highlighted dreams as practical tools, not just fleeting images, for anyone open to their guidance. Murphy also shares the tale of a mother who dreamt her son, stationed overseas, was in danger. She saw him trapped in a burning building and woke in a panic, praying, "God protects my son." Days later, she learned he'd narrowly escaped a fire at his base, crediting her prayers. Murphy explains that her subconscious, attuned to her son, received a precognitive warning, prompting her protective prayer. This made me recall anxious dreams about loved ones, wondering if they carried deeper meaning I'd dismissed. The mechanics of this lesson fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, linked to infinite intelligence, uses dreams to bypass the conscious mind's skepticism, delivering insights through symbols or direct visions. By affirming specific intentions before sleep, we program the subconscious to communicate or foresee what matters most. His examples, a secretary, a soldier, a driver, show that dreams are universal, accessible to anyone who listens. As I set the book down, I felt a quiet resolve to affirm, "My dreams guide me wisely." Before bed, eager to see what my subconscious might reveal. The idea that my dreams could connect me to others or unveil the future filled me with anticipation, as if each night held a new adventure in psychic perception. Lesson number 7: Astral projection expands consciousness. The soul can travel beyond the body, accessing distant knowledge or connections, demonstrating consciousness's boundless nature. The soft flicker of my candle cast a warm glow as I read Murphy's words, each sentence stirring a sense of wonder about the mind's hidden potential. He describes astral projection as the subconscious freeing itself from the body's limits, traveling through space or time to perceive truths or connect with others. Unlike a dream, it's a deliberate act, often triggered by affirming before sleep. My subconscious reveals the wonders of the universe. Murphy's promise that anyone can cultivate this ability through faith and focus felt like an invitation to explore uncharted territories within myself. I began to recall dreams that felt like journeys, wondering if they hinted at this deeper faculty. One story that captivated me was of a young woman in Hawaii, heartbroken after a quarrel with her boyfriend, Tom, stationed in Vietnam. Guided by Murphy, she prayed each night, affirming, "God's love fills Tom's heart, and harmony exists between us." In her sleep, her subconscious projected her presence to Tom's tent, where he saw her smiling, saying, "I love you." Days later, Tom called, describing the vision, and they reconciled. Murphy explains this as astral projection, her subconscious traveling thousands of miles to heal their bond. This story made me think of times I'd felt inexplicably close to someone far away, as if my mind had reached out across the distance. Another example struck a chord. A businessman, anxious about a mining venture in Australia, affirmed before sleep, "Infinite intelligence guides me to wealth." In a vivid experience, he found himself soaring over a rugged landscape, spotting a silver vein and uranium deposits. Trusting this vision, he invested in the exact location, reaping immense profits. Murphy calls this astral projection, where the subconscious, freed from physical constraints, surveyed the land and revealed its secrets. I imagined myself in his place, questioning whether I'd trust such a journey, yet inspired by how it expanded his consciousness to uncover hidden opportunities. Then there was the mother who, tormented by worry for her son overseas, affirmed, "God shows me my son is safe." One night, her consciousness seemed to leave her body, arriving at his military base, where she saw him laughing with friends. The next day, a letter confirmed he was well, matching her vision's details. Murphy attributes this to astral projection, her subconscious traveling to verify his safety, easing her fears. This resonated with moments I'd sensed a loved one's well-being without explanation, prompting me to wonder if my subconscious had ventured forth. Murphy also shares the story of a student who, seeking answers about a career path, affirmed, "Infinite intelligence reveals my true calling." In a lucid experience, she found herself in a vast library, reading a book that outlined her future as a teacher. Following this guidance, she pursued education and thrived. Murphy explains that her subconscious projected into a realm of universal knowledge, expanding her consciousness to access divine wisdom. This made me reflect on dreams that felt like visits to otherworldly places, urging me to affirm clarity before sleep. The mechanics of astral projection fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, unbound by physical laws, responds to affirmations and vivid intent, projecting consciousness during sleep or meditation. This process, he says, not only delivers insights, but deepens our connection to the universal mind, enhancing psychic perception. His examples, a lover, a businessman, a mother, show that anyone can practice this, regardless of background. As I closed the book, I felt a quiet resolve to try it, affirming, "My subconscious explores the infinite tonight." The stories of those who expanded their consciousness through astral projection filled me with anticipation, as if my next sleep could unveil a new horizon of awareness. Lesson number 8: The law of abundance attracts prosperity. Visualizing and affirming abundance aligns the mind with the universe's infinite supply, manifesting wealth and opportunities. The soft rustle of pages filled the quiet evening as I read Murphy's words, each one sparking a sense of possibility. He explains that the universe is a storehouse of infinite riches, accessible to all who claim them through faith and positive thought. The subconscious, ever receptive, responds to affirmations like, "Wealth flows to me freely," by orchestrating opportunities and insights that manifest prosperity. Murphy's assurance that this law enhances psychic perception, guiding us to abundance, felt like a call to shift my mindset. I began to reflect on times I'd let scarcity fears limit me, wondering how embracing abundance could open new doors. One story that gripped me was of a taxi driver in Hawaii, yearning to provide a home for his family. Struggling financially, he followed Murphy's advice to affirm nightly, "Wealth is mine now," visualizing a prosperous life. One night, a dream showed a Chinese sage pointing to a plot of land on the Kona coast. Trusting this vision, he bought the land, which later soared in value, granting him wealth beyond his dreams. Murphy attributes this to the law of abundance, where the subconscious, impressed with wealth, revealed a lucrative opportunity. This made me imagine affirming my own goals, curious if such faith could lead to unexpected gains. Another example hit close to home. A secretary, doubting she could rise above her modest circumstances, affirmed, "I am driving a luxurious car, wearing a mink coat, and living in my own home, happily married." She visualized this life vividly before sleep, imprinting her subconscious with abundance. Within 3 months, she was living this reality, her career flourishing and her marriage joyful. Murphy explains that her affirmations aligned her subconscious with the law of abundance, attracting these blessings. This story prompted me to consider my own aspirations, wondering how consistent affirmations might reshape my future. Then there was the geologist preparing for a mining expedition in Australia. Facing uncertainty, he affirmed, "Wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance." Each night, his subconscious guided him to a silver vein and uranium deposits, overlooked by others, transforming his career. Murphy credits this to the law of abundance, where the subconscious, programmed with prosperity, unveiled hidden riches. I pictured myself in his boots, marveling at how a simple affirmation could unlock such fortune, inspiring me to try it for my own projects. Murphy also shares the tale of a businessman plagued by debts, fearing bankruptcy. He began affirming, "God's wealth circulates through my life, meeting all my needs." Visualizing financial freedom, he impressed his subconscious with abundance. Soon, new clients and contracts poured in, clearing his debts and building his wealth. This turnaround showed how the law of abundance could reverse even dire situations, making me reflect on financial worries I could release through positive thought. The mechanics of this law fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, linked to the universal mind, responds to heartfelt affirmations and vivid imagery, especially before sleep, to attract prosperity. Doubt or fear, he warns, can block the flow, but consistent belief in abundance ensures results. His examples, a driver, a secretary, a geologist, prove that anyone, regardless of circumstance, can tap this law. As I closed the book, I felt a surge of resolve to affirm, "Abundance is mine now," before bed, eager to see what my subconscious might draw forth. The stories of those who attracted prosperity through this law filled me with hope, as if wealth was not a distant dream, but a reality waiting to unfold. Lesson number 9: Clairaudience offers intuitive guidance. Psychic insights may come as inner voices or sounds, providing warnings or direction for decision-making. The quiet of the evening wrapped around me as I read Murphy's words, each one awakening a curiosity about the unseen messages my mind might hold. He describes clairaudience as the subconscious receiving divine guidance, often as a voice, thought, or impression, offering clarity on decisions or warnings of danger. Unlike physical hearing, it's an inner knowing, activated by affirming, "Infinite intelligence speaks to me clearly." Murphy's promise that anyone can develop this faculty through faith and practice felt like an invitation to deepen my intuition. I began to recall moments when a sudden thought had guided me, wondering if they were whispers of clairaudience. One story that seized my heart was of a radio listener driving to San Francisco when he heard his father's voice, clear as day, say, "Son, pray for me. I've had a massive heart attack." Pulling over, he prayed, affirming, God is healing him now. Later, he learned his father had survived a heart attack at that exact moment, aided by a nearby doctor. Murphy explains this as clairaudience, where the subconscious received his father's urgent plea across hundreds of miles. This story made me think of times I'd felt an inexplicable urge to act, as if an unseen voice had spoken, prompting me to trust such instincts more deeply. Another example struck a chord. A young woman, anxious about a job offer in a distant city, affirmed before sleep, "Infinite intelligence guides my path." In the stillness of night, she heard a gentle voice say, "Take the job, it's your destiny." Trusting this message, she accepted the offer, and the role launched a fulfilling career. Murphy attributes this to clairaudience, her subconscious delivering divine guidance as a clear instruction. I imagined myself in her place, wondering if I'd heed such a voice, yet inspired to affirm clarity for my own decisions. Then there was the businessman, uncertain about a risky investment. He prayed, affirming, "God's wisdom speaks to me now." One morning, as he woke, a firm voice in his mind said, "Avoid the deal." He followed this guidance, later learning the investment would have led to ruin. Murphy calls this clairaudience, the subconscious tapping into universal wisdom to protect him. This story reminded me of moments when a gut feeling had steered me from trouble, urging me to listen more closely to my inner voice. Murphy also shares the tale of a mother, worried about her daughter's safety during a trip abroad. She affirmed, "God speaks to me about my child." One night, she heard a calm voice say, "She is safe and returning home." The next day, a telegram confirmed her daughter's safe arrival. Murphy explains that her subconscious, attuned through affirmation, received this reassuring message clairaudiently. This resonated with times I'd sensed a loved one's well-being without reason, making me eager to cultivate this intuitive hearing. The mechanics of clairaudience fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, connected to the universal mind, channels guidance as inner voices or impressions when we invite it through prayer or affirmations. Consistency and trust, he says, amplify this ability, enhancing psychic perception. His examples, a driver, a woman, a businessman, show that clairaudience is universal, available to anyone who listens. As I closed the book, I felt a quiet resolve to affirm, I hear divine guidance clearly. Before sleep, eager to hear what my subconscious might reveal. The stories of those guided by clairaudience filled me with anticipation, as if each moment held the potential for a whispered truth to light my way. Lesson number 10: Psychic perception enhances daily life. Integrating psychic techniques like affirmations and meditation into daily routines improves problem-solving, relationships, and peace. The evening was still, the glow of my lamp casting soft light as I read Murphy's words, each one igniting a spark of excitement about the mind's untapped potential. He describes psychic perception as the subconscious's ability to sense truths beyond the physical, guiding us through hunches, dreams, or sudden insights. By affirming, infinite intelligence reveals all I need to know, we awaken this faculty, enhancing every aspect of life: work, love, health. Murphy's promise that anyone can harness this power felt like an invitation to live more fully. I began to recall moments when a gut feeling had steered me right, wondering how nurturing this gift could shape my days. One story that captivated me was of a waitress in Kona, gifted with precognition. She'd casually predict events, like telling her family she'd read a relative's obituary, only for it to appear days later. Her subconscious, attuned to subtle cues, foresaw these transitions, enriching her life with confidence and connection. Murphy explains that her openness to these insights, honed by her mother's encouragement, made her daily interactions more meaningful. This made me think of times I'd sensed something before it happened, urging me to trust such inklings as psychic perception at work. Another example resonated deeply. A businessman, facing a stalled lawsuit, visualized a happy resolution, affirming, God's wisdom settles this now. Within a week, his opponents agreed to a settlement, and an obstacle, a difficult party, passed away, clearing the path. Murphy attributes this to clairvoyance, where the subconscious, programmed with success, foresaw and orchestrated the outcome. I imagined applying this to my own challenges, picturing how affirming clarity might guide my decisions, from career moves to personal goals. Then there was the young woman in Hawaii, tormented by a believed curse. Murphy, led to her by an intuitive urge, taught her to affirm, I am alive with the life of God. Her fear dissolved, and she regained health and joy within hours. This psychic guidance, Murphy's subconscious directing him to her, transformed her daily life, freeing her from dread. It reminded me of moments when I'd followed a hunch to help someone, wondering if my subconscious was tapping into the same universal wisdom. Murphy also shares the story of a secretary who used affirmations to manifest abundance. Doubting her potential, she affirmed, I am living in luxury, happily married, visualizing this life nightly. Within months, she had a new home, a thriving career, and a loving husband. Her psychic perception, awakened by affirmations, guided her choices, enhancing her daily reality. This inspired me to consider my own aspirations, eager to affirm positive outcomes for my routine struggles. The mechanics of this lesson fascinated me. Murphy teaches that the subconscious, linked to infinite intelligence, responds to affirmations and vivid intent, delivering insights through intuition or visions. Regular practice, he says, makes psychic perception a daily ally, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for growth. His examples, a waitress, a businessman, a secretary, show that this faculty is universal, enhancing life for anyone who embraces it. As I closed the book, I felt a quiet resolve to affirm, my intuition guides me daily, eager to see how it might enrich my routine. The stories of those whose lives were uplifted by psychic perception filled me with hope, as if each day held new possibilities for insight and abundance. These lessons, drawn from Murphy's teachings, emphasize practical applications of psychic abilities through the subconscious mind, supported by affirmations and spiritual alignment.